Hey, everybody. Welcome back to 30 Flirty and Freaking Out. I'm one of your hosts, Taya.
Hi, guys. I'm Heather.
And today, our episode is arguably one of the ones Heather and I are most excited about. Because if you haven't caught on yet, we love books. And today, that's all we're talking about.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I'm equally excited to talk about like books we love and also books we hated.
Yes, because we also feel very passionately about that.
Yeah.
I think we should preface that when we were in our insular religious community that we were raised in, we were not allowed to read things like magic, Harry Potter, even like fantasy. I never even tried because like if there was a witch, I was like, oh my God, no, it's Satan. I wasn't allowed to read it.
Vampires.
Yeah, vampires, hard pass.
Smut.
Yeah,
Definitely.
smut.
That's not
Like,
Christianly.
even like the romance ones with like Fabio on the cover, like those were a hard pass.
Yeah.
And anything like really violent, which that was a borderline one that we'll get into. But so when we decided to leave, we had a whole new world opened up to us with so many different book opportunities. And we are obviously loving it.
We're so excited to be here. And I feel like it took off like we're at the perfect time for it because ACOTAR has taken off, Throne of Glass, all the fantasy stuff. And yeah, we jumped in right on time.
I do love the correlation people are putting with like, you know, Fern Gully and Beauty and the Beast and like all of those classic Disney ones that we grew up with like the enemies to lovers situation or the forced proximity trope or like, like all of the things.
It's all coming back.
It's all coming back.
Moment.
Yeah, it's coming full circle.
Yeah.
No wonder we all love the romantasy genre.
Right.
So, okay. We're going to talk about, books we loved, books we hated, and books we DNF'd, which, if you're not familiar, stands for did not finish. So we'll be throwing that term around. But let's start on a high. Heather, what books did you love of 20? Well, okay. Well, back up.
Okay.
How many books did you read last year?
Oh, okay. I was just looking at my Goodreads. I read 78 books last year.
Beautiful.
Which, yeah, I'm excited because I set the goal of 50.
Yeah.
And then I reached 50 in like September, and then I upped it. I set it to 75, and then I even pressed that. So
crushed it.
How about
Amazing. You? I made 72.
Cool.
Yeah. And my goal was 30.
Nice.
But I really had no frame of reference to how many books I had read. And shout out to Goodreads. I love having a way to track the books I read now. It's so fun.
Yeah, I didn't track before this year either. So
right. Yeah. So when I set the goal of 30, I was like, I have no clue how many I read the year before. I know it was a lot, but I have no idea. So that was just to kind of find my idea. Did you set a 2025 goal?
I did.
What is it?
I said it's 100 books.
Shut up. Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm excited. And
how many books have you read this year already?
Well, I finished my first one on January 1st.
Of course you did.
Yeah. And I'm reading 2 books right now. So 2, 3.
Yeah, you're on your way.
I'm on my way. I just have so many books to read, and I'm excited. And I feel like when I have a goal in mind, I can get to it. Like if it's like you're 2 books behind, I'm like, oh, just give me a second. Like I cannot be behind.
Hold the phone. I'll be back.
Yes. Yeah. So I think.
And it's a big year for books too.
Oh, I know all the books that are coming out.
It's yeah. My goal is 70 for this year.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, because I thought, okay, I hit 70. And I think I hit 72, so I like 70 should be doable. I know Jake's like, you should go for 100. And I'm like, I do have to take care of the children.
I mean, they're pretty much self-servicing now.
Self-servicing.
I don't know. They're practically independent. They're 5 and 4. I mean, what? Someday. But yes, I will hit 100 someday. Okay, let's get into it. Okay. What books did you love from 2024? What were your 5-star reads? Okay, so fantasy obviously was top of the list. Yeah. My favorite fantasy, and if I really think about it, I actually think I read this in 2023, maybe Fourth Wing. Didn't I feel like that came out? Yeah, like a year
because
ago or so.
Iron Flame was January 2024.
There you go. So okay. Didn't technically read it in 2024, but Fourth Wing was a 5-star read for me. It's even ahead of ACOTAR and Throne of Glass for me. Fourth Wing was my favorite.
Still?
I know. Yeah. Wow. And then followed closely by Quicksilver, which I just read last month. And I freaking loved it. And I was looking at TikToks of books that people have DNF'd. Quicksilver's high up there. And I think I understand why. You know how
the beginning is kind of not that exciting.
Yeah.
At least for me, it wasn't. And there are some changes in scenery. I was worried it was going to go in kind of like a frilly direction.
Yeah.
I can say. And then it just took a turn and it just got so much better. And then I read Abby Jimenez for the first time. And I read her 3, like it's not really a series because they're separate books, but they're intertwined. And those were all 5 stars for me.
And those are more like just like they're romance, rom-coms. Contemporary fiction? Okay, rom-coms. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's really funny and it's witty and just enjoyable, and the relationships are just like easy, and there's always, some big problem that needs to be
naturally
fixed. Yeah.
Naturally. Yes.
But they get through it, and yeah. So yeah, those were my top ones. Also, in a completely different genre, 1,000 Splendid Suns. It broke my heart in 5 million different little pieces, but it was a 5-star read. It was just beautifully written.
It is still looking at me on my bookshelf.
I mean, you have to be ready for it.
I know. Jake was just asking when I was going to read that and The Kite Runner, and I was like, I just am not in a place emotionally where I want to be destroyed.
Yes,
and I know it's going to do that.
Yeah, and it's so different than fantasy, which is what we love to read, and so
I don't want you too real.
Yeah, I don't want you to get into it and then not like it because it's so different. So yeah. You have to be ready for it. Anyways, I know. What were your favorites?
Okay, so I loved Quicksilver as well. A Fate Inked in Blood. I just really enjoyed it.
Yeah. What'd you think of the ending?
It didn't end the way I thought it would go.
Right.
I suspected each of the plot twists individually I thought was going to happen, but I thought one was going to happen, and they all happened, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. So that was kind of fun. The Great Alone and The Nightingale. Those books, again, crushed me. Kristen Hanna, we've talked about her before. Ugh.
Yeah.
Funny Story, another rom-com, which is, I was surprised looking back at my Goodreads to see what I did a 5-star read as and what I didn't. Because there's books that I loved. It's like I was just scared to give that award out. But then I gave it to Funny Story, which is not my genre. I don't love rom-coms. They're not what I pick up. Easy beach reads? Nope. Don't care. But I really enjoyed that. We read it for book club, and it just made me smile, and I believed it. It didn't have all the annoying tropes, and I really liked that.
Yes.
Educated, shout out to a nonfiction book. Read like fiction. It was a great read. Really.
Is it like how our education system is messed up, or what is?
No, so it's about a girl who grew up in basically a cult. But not. And anyway, she ends up going to college, but she's been homeschooled her entire life. And it's in her first semester of college that she learns about World War II and concentration camps and Nazis. She had never heard of this before. And so it's all about then, and she's incredibly smart. So it's all about how she goes on to become educated. And yet she goes back and forth with her family, and it's really complicated, but it read like fiction, and it was so interesting and very relatable in a lot of ways with having a conservative background and then kind of coming out and being exposed to new things. But yeah, I really liked that.
That sounds was a good one. Fascinating. Okay, I gotta put that on my TV right.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. And then When the Moon Hatched was my other 5-star read. That was heavy world building, but it made me so excited for book 2. I loved the magic system. I loved the dragons. I loved that love story. Just felt so authentic. I loved it.
It was a good love story. That one took me a little bit to get into, but at the end, it was a 5-star for me too.
Oh my God. At the beginning, I was like, I don't even understand. And honestly, parts of the beginning, I was like, did we even need that? I don't think we needed that, but
it was so confusing. I'm glad that you had read it first and you were like, don't give up.
Don't give up. Just keep going. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think all of those books, what they had in common was the writing was really good, which we have commented now after reading all of these books and discussing them in book clubs or with friends. We are recognizing a good book versus a not well-written book.
Yeah, or just the writing that we like those few thrillers that I've read that have the choppy writing, the short sentences. Yeah, I don't enjoy that.
Yeah.
And it's not bad. I'm sure a lot of people do like it, but we know what we like.
even like character development and like relationship development, sometimes I'm like, I don't understand how all of a sudden you're in love with him with yesterday you hated him. Like there was no building, there was no connection. Like I didn't feel it happening.
Yeah.
And like well-written dialogue, like we just read Listen for the Lie, and the dialogue in that book was so good. It was it was like I was watching it happen, and like all of the different parties speaking. It was so entertaining.
That was a 5-star read for me too. Actually, I didn't mention that, but yeah, Listen for the Lie is a great thriller.
Yeah,
and it's funny. You know what? I like funny. I like things to be witty, even if it's a serious book, and
yeah,
I do enjoy that a lot.
I feel like we should give honorable mention to the authors that kind of got me started and me talking with you about books, and that's Harlan Coben.
He's the OG for us.
He is.
Yeah, he writes such good thriller books. He's got these characters. They do
shady shit. So
they do shady shit, but he gives you just enough grotesque detail of what they're capable of that the next time they pop up in the book, your stomach drops. You're like, oh shit, not this guy again. And it's not too much, but it's enough that you are scared.
Yes.
When they pop back up. I love that about him. And then he's written the Myron Bolitar series, and so good. Wynn is the character that we both love. He's like this preppy, insanely rich, stuck-up guy that will kill you with his pinky. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I loved those characters together and their dynamic. And he is so good at writing those books. I cannot read them in my current life situation because I do have young children. And so often his books do involve something happening to a young child. Yeah. Where I'm like, Harlan, I'll be back for you. Just wait right there.
Yeah.
When I'm not terrified for my own children.
He just has these amazing twists in his books too that you never see coming.
And honestly, I don't think I've read one that I didn't at least very much enjoy.
Yeah.
Like I've never read a book of him that I'm like, ugh.
Right. I was at my friend's house in Seattle one time, and I was reading a Harlan Coben book that she had already read, and she was like secretly taking pictures of me, and I didn't know she was. And my faces are like shock and awe, and then like surprise, and like all the emotions of reading Harlan Coben. Yeah, but he is a great one.
Another author I have loved for a long time is Daniel Silva. And he does this series on, it's an Israeli assassin, which that was about as violent as I would ever get.
Yeah, that
because I was like, well, I'm not worried about an Israeli assassin coming to get me. So like, I'm fine with
probably fine.
I'm probably fine.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to read it because it has the dynamic between like Palestine and Israel, and there's lots of history and things there, but it's just, again, like a well-written, fun read about assassins just gently killing people.
Obviously, we don't really have to mention, but Sarah J. Maas has changed our lives.
Yes, she is our goddess now.
Yep, she really is.
Yeah.
Neva Rose is one. She writes some pretty good thrillers out there. What was the one that was it for book club or no? That about the girl who goes and stays in someone's Airbnb?
The Airbnb. You shouldn't have come here. I think it's You Shouldn't Have Come Here.
Yes.
Yeah, we read that, I think, each independently before we went on a getaway. And I was like, I'm so glad I'm not reading it while I'm here at this Airbnb because I would be so free. And that one ended and I was like, oh my gosh, I did not see that coming.
Yes.
Because you like read the book from two different perspectives. And then at the ending, just like freaking blew. I was floored by the ending.
That a book had me going back and forth between like, oh, this is what's going on. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
No, this is what. No, wait. Is it? Who is it? What? Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. And then I love her on TikTok. She's freaking hilarious on TikTok.
Okay. Is it Scott?
Yes,
who's Scott. Yes. Oh my God.
She got
for that.
Like, a hate email from Scott, and now she like specifically mentions him for stuff.
Did you see the one? Apparently he's running for office, but he's running uncontested in his town, and she was like, I should run for public office against him.
Did not see that. Oh my gosh, that's freaking hilarious.
And then her husband had to remind her that if she won, she actually had to do that, and she's like, oh no. Not do that. But she's like, how amazing would that be if I just won just for spite?
Yeah.
Take that, Scott.
I love her like pessimism. She comes on TikTok and she's just like, she's already pissed off at like everybody, and I don't know. I just love her personality. Yeah.
I have a feeling like in real life she's not like that at all.
No, yeah.
But I would love to find that out, Geneva. If you ever want to hang, let me know.
Gosh, girl, let's go out for drinks.
You're hilarious.
Should be so fun to go out with, I bet.
Right?
Yeah.
So I feel like I love Geneva Rose as a thriller writer. One thriller writer I am not a fan of is Riley Sager.
Riley. He started out so strong for us with The House Across the Lake. We both
Holy
loved
crap.
it.
That book, I literally don't look at
blown.
lakes the same way.
Yeah.
I hesitate and I'm like, I don't know what's in there.
That one was so good. But
creepy.
I didn't see that coming from anywhere. Yeah. But
then all the other books, like, Middle of the Night, I was legitimately scared. And then it ended and I was like, the hell? I was scared for nothing. It had the most anticlimactic ending, which made me like, that's extra kudos for getting me to feel that way and then being like, silly goose. It's nothing.
Yeah. It was, yeah.
But also I felt like kind of dumb. Like I got bamboozled.
Yeah. Also, the only one left. People love that book. I just didn't get it.
Okay.
The one about the haunted house. That one was suspenseful, but again, nothing has compared to The House Across the Lake.
Yeah, same.
Which is unfortunate.
And then the other thriller author that I'm done with is Ruth Ware. Sorry, Ruth.
Yeah, sorry, Ruth.
You're falling flat for me.
You're too British. I realize that I don't like English writers because here's the thing. I like really laid back writing. I don't know, nothing that's like too serious. And I feel like the English just say things in such a proper way that it comes off kind of pretentious to me. And I'm like, ugh.
Okay.
So I don't like the English writing. Although I think B.A. Paris is an English writer and they wrote Behind Closed Doors. And that book is crazy. I still think about that book.
Oh, I love those books that like haunt. Okay, let's talk about books that haunt us. Good or bad?
Okay. You go first.
Okay. Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. What the actual fuck was that?
Yes.
I think my brother-in-law read it and he was like, what are you into? And I was like, not that. I was so scared.
It was so messed up.
Honestly, most of the time during like torture scenes or whatever, I can like, again, I can edit, I can disassociate, I'm fine. That one, I literally felt like it was happening to me. Something about the way she writes it. That book was so intense and so messed up.
That's good. But you couldn't stop reading.
I couldn't stop reading.
Is that her actual name? Because she won the last name lottery, for a thriller writer.
She's like, I guess I only have one career that's open to me.
I mean,
another book that haunted me was All the Ugly and Wonderful Things.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
That's a hard one because it ended and I was like, oh, happy ending. And I was explaining it to Jake and he's like, no,
you can't explain that
one. Still not okay. And I was
know.
Like, oh, you're right. Oh my God, it isn't okay. That book was very confusing.
It was very confusing. It really triggers people.
Yes. Okay.
It was good, but it was a good story. It was a sad story and it was a messed up story. And you're like, it's okay, but it's not okay.
It's not okay.
It's not okay.
But
it turned out okay.
And okay. It's so confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Another similar book that I read that I know you haven't read is called Saving Noah by Lucinda Berry. And she's a thriller writer. And I'm pretty sure I've read some more of her stuff.
Yes. I've seen her TikToks and everyone's like, if you want a book, this is the book. This is the author.
Saving Noah?
Like, no, Lucinda.
That's the author.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to give away some things about this book. So if you want to read Saving Noah,
fast forward.
Skip ahead. It is about a teenage boy who, it's told through the POV of his mom. And he's like 16 and he molests these little girls and he knows it's wrong and he feels bad about it. And he tells his parents. He ends up going to jail and then he gets out and it doesn't get better. He realizes that he's a pedophile. That's just what he is. And he wants to die because he feels horrible about it.
Ugh.
Yep. And his mom helps him to commit suicide. And when she tells him, I will help you because it's horrible, right? It is horrible. when she tells him finally after like he gets out of prison and everyone knows what he did and he can't escape it. And he's like, I'm disgusting. I'm a horrible human being. I shouldn't be allowed to be alive because I will do it again. It's just who I am. And when she tells him, finally, like he's miserable, he attempts suicide, I think, when she's like, fine, I'll help you do it and I'll help you go peacefully. He is the happiest person on the earth. And yeah, she helps him go through with it. And that's the freaking book.
Wow.
What the hell?
Read your trigger warnings.
Read people. Lucinda Berry. Why?
Why, Lucinda? Why?
Wow. Yeah, people rave about it and not just I don't know. I have no words.
Dang.
Yeah. So that's if you know it. I know you weren't ever going to read it, so.
I mean, now I won't, knowing what it's about.
And you feel bad for him because it's almost like he's saying, like, as if he were gay, but he's not attracted to people of the same sex. He's attracted to children. And it's something in him and he can't change it. It's a terrible book. Yeah, I had to share that.
I feel like I have more questions than I have answers to for that.
It's been haunting me for such a long time and I haven't been able to talk about it with anybody.
Well, yeah. That's terrible. Like, how did you finish that book? How did you make it to the end?
I don't know.
One page at a time. That's how, folks. What books did you hate this last year?
Besides Saving Noah. Okay. Tomorrow. People love that book. I realize I like happy endings. I need a happy ending. And I'm not saying that it wasn't, like, it was a terrible ending or anything. But things happened in the book that did not make me happy. And then it wasn't even all that interesting. But I didn't DNF it, so.
I love anytime someone recommends that book or like speaks of it highly, I just immediately look at Heather.
Look at me and I'm like, ugh.
I love it. Okay.
Yeah. And then A Little Life. Okay. And I always have to say, so everyone's like, oh, A Little Life is just amazing and blah, blah, blah. It was beautifully written. Like, it really was. I can't speak badly about the writing. What words were used? That the story is so sad. It's like, this can't possibly get worse, and then it continues to get worse. And then I always make the joke that it could be called Life Sucks and Then You Die.
So follow-up question there. How is it that book is not great, but like The Kite Runner and 1,000 Splendid Suns, which I know also make you want to stab your eyeball out because it's just so sad. Like, what's the difference between those books? Why do you like one, not the other? Because in my head, they're both sad.
Well, without giving too much away, like the ending, like I need to have a satisfying ending. It's a good question because the thing about 1,000 Splendid Suns is that it shows like female strength and the strength of mothers, and I like that story and that message. A Little Life, it was. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. It was just everything horrible that could possibly happen to someone. And then it just keeps getting worse. And I want like there to be some respite from all the crap that happens to people. And there's not. It never lets up. It was just rough. And I know people love it and I see why they love it, but it's terrible.
People love to be sad, I guess.
I guess so. Yeah. So what were some of the books that you hated?
I hated Divine Rivals.
That's right.
I hated that book. What?
No, I haven't read it, but I remember you saying it.
Yes. I thought you said it's great, and I was like, bitch.
No.
We need to talk.
We're done.
Okay, no. It got raved about on Book Talk, and I was like, okay, let's dive in. It is not magic. The only thing magic and fantasy in it is this possessed typewriter. That's it. That is it. And everyone's like, the love story. No, it's not a love story. It just is so overhyped to me. I read it and could not have been more disappointed. And I just don't think that was worth the hype. Women in Cabin 10, that's another Ruth Ware book, where that was the one I was like, okay, what? And it's becoming a movie, and I'm like, ooh, that sounds so boring. Because even like the action parts or like the like suspenseful parts or the plot twists just fell so flat. And it like got stuck and like lagged in certain places where it didn't need to. And I don't know. It just, I was not a crazy fan. And The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue.
Which you didn't finish.
I didn't even finish. I DNF'd it.
I feel like you can't say you didn't like it if you didn't finish it because, I mean, you can, but
I'm going to say it.
Don't. I feel like your opinion would have changed had you finished it.
I couldn't even listen to the audiobook at twice the speed. Like, these people were speed talking, and I still was like, I'm so bored. I get it. You're invisible.
It is boring. It takes forever for there to be a story there.
Yeah. And I just didn't. And I honestly, I was like, I can just watch, what's that Blake Lively movie where...
Life of...
Adeline.
Age
of Adeline.
Yeah.
Like, I could just...
I never would have DNF'd a book maybe like a year and a half ago or so.
Same.
Never.
Nope.
But now I'm like, yeah, there are too many books on my TBR to be stuck in this crap.
Well, and honestly, like, I get books on, like, my iPad on Libby or Hoopla or whatever. And if they expire and I'm not done, I'm like, well, guess I'm not refinishing that. I don't know.
Yeah. I know we were just saying this, that we have to keep track of the books that we've DNF'd because we just don't. We don't. I
also just finished Twisted Love, which I know you haven't read yet.
Tell me your opinion.
I really disliked it. And here's the thing. I just realized it's not my trope. I don't love the touch her and you die trope. I don't. It's just sending too many red flags to me where I can't get over that and be like, oh, I'm so happy for you. I really support your love story. I'm like, girl, run.
Okay, but wasn't Fisher kind of like that? Like,
okay, whoa. Don't speak ill of Fisher, please.
He was like, scrub her freaking scent off you, dude.
Don't say his name in vain. No, but Fisher wasn't... Okay, there's one scene in particular. It's not giving anything away. They're in a restaurant, and he leaves to take a phone call. And a guy approaches the table, and he's like, hey, I heard you're a photographer. I'd love for you to take my engagement photos. My fiance's over there at this table. She waves. And as they're finishing up this conversation, her boyfriend comes back and is like, who are you? And like freaks out. And he's like, I'll give you 1 second to get away from her before I kill you or mess you up or something. And I'm just like, calm down.
Chill. Yeah.
Calm down. Take a Prozac. Like whatever you need. I am not impressed with you. So it just wasn't my jam. But Fisher was my jam.
He is so
something else. Although, okay, so that's a great example of a book. Do not judge it by its cover. That cover is atrocious. Whoever designed that should be fired. There's 1,000 other ways that cover could have been done, and that was not it.
It looks really YA.
It looks so YA. It looks so cheesy with like the teardrop of like, no.
Yeah.
That's not the vibe of the story at all. It reads so amazing, and I'm really glad. I think it was Tyler that was like, just read it. Ignore the cover, just read it. Because, I saw that and I was like, hard pass.
I don't judge it. Well, no, I probably do judge books by their cover.
I'm more inclined to read a book if it has an attractive cover.
Yeah. Like, I really don't like all of these, like, I like Allie Hazelwood and the things that I've read from her, but all these, like, lovey-dovey, like, bubble letters, pink
cartoony
covers. Yeah.
Bright colors.
That's not attractive to me.
Yeah. I do love all the fantasy lineups with their like sprayed edges and they're just really pretty covers. Although honestly, they're all starting to really blend together with all the titles of Frost and Starlight and Blood and Ash. So what authors do you want to read more from, or more books do you want to read about?
Okay, well, obviously Onyx Storm. So I know Frida McFadden gets a lot of hate, but I do like some of her books. Some of them have fallen real flat, but I do like a lot of her.
I loved The Housemaid. I thought that was great.
Yeah. Have you read any more of her? She's got so many books. I don't know how she does this. She turns out like a book a week.
I haven't. I'm not opposed to it.
Okay, you should read
there's a sequel to The Housemaid, right?
Yeah. Allie was reading The Boyfriend on our getaway, and she said that was pretty good. I read Never Lie, and that was one of my favorites from her because I didn't see it coming. And I will preface this with, I'm not good at seeing it coming. I usually don't know what's going on. I'm not looking. Sometimes I look really hard and I just end up assuming it was everybody's. I won't be wrong at the end.
Yeah.
But I usually don't see the twist. And I don't really want to see the twist. I want it to surprise me, you know? So stop looking for it. Sometimes you're like, oh, I think this is what's going on. I think that's him. And I Never Lie, it was like almost too obvious. So it was like, is it? Is it not? Is it?
I felt that way about Verity by Colleen Hoover. How
Did you know there is a conspiracy theory going around that is not actually a book that she wrote because it's so polar opposite to everything else she writes?
Yes.
Like, I'd love that. I'm eating that up.
I'm inclined to believe that as well.
I know, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that book, talk about an unsatisfying ending. I sincerely don't know what happened, and that drives me insane. I can't think about it too much, or I'll just like get really frustrated.
Yeah.
But then rock, paper, scissors. That was one I didn't see the ending coming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me neither.
I was really surprised by that, and I really enjoyed that book. But it like reads creepy, and it is creepy, but not for the reason you think it's creepy.
Yeah, I love being surprised by a book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm okay to go into it kind of ignorant.
How many do you have on your want to read list?
Oh my gosh, let's look.
I'm only at 50, so that's not too bad.
Oh, I'm at 60.
Okay. The City of Brass. That's one I DNF'd. It was too confusing. It's like all like sheiks and Abduls, and I just couldn't. They all have like the same name, just like one letter off, and it was so confusing to me. It has a cool premise, but I'm like, can we rename them?
Can we rename them?
Oh, Crowns of Nyaxia.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's coming out this year. And then I kind of want to tackle the Zodiac Academy this year.
Yes. Oh, I've heard such great things about that.
Right? And some people are like, it's a waste of time. It's like 85 books. Don't even bother. And other people are like, it builds. It's so great. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm intrigued enough about this that I want to check it off my list.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah.
Alice Feeney has
she did rock, paper, scissors, didn't she?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful Ugly is one that she's coming out with that I want to read.
Phantasma, I really want to read that too. It's audiobook of the year.
Oh.
Yeah. In the fantasy, maybe in the fantasy genre.
Okay, cool.
Maybe in the whole world. I don't know. I didn't look that closely.
The Wedding People is a book I keep hearing rave things about by Allison S. I don't really know what it's about, but it sounds really good. This is one that I DNF'd. One Dark Window.
I hated that. Oh, no, wait, no. One Dark Window. I liked that book.
With the cards?
The cards.
Yeah. So I don't know if I've DNF'd it. I haven't finished it, and it's been like 6 months. But I planned to go back to it, but I just couldn't.
Okay, I will say I wasn't crazy about the first book, but I decided to read the second book because Tyler was like, girl, do it. And after reading the second book, I loved it.
I might have to.
It's a very unique magic system. It's kind of like dark and a little bit like gothic in my head.
Yeah.
But I do love, I know all the side characters are just as good as the main characters in that book. And I really like that. And yeah, it's a really interesting premise. So I'd say give it another shot.
Okay.
But plan on reading the sequel because it makes the first book better, in my opinion.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. Okay. What are you reading currently?
I am reading The Trial of the Sun Queen at this moment. Okay. And it's okay. It feels really juvenile and YA. And not in a good way.
Yeah.
I'm just, again, like talk about like the not building the like plot and the characters.
Yeah.
Where all of a sudden she's like, oh my God, yes. Okay, now I'm into it. And I'm like, what? you were literally just in prison and now you're cool. But like, and it also harps on certain things. I hate when they're constantly like, but I have to fight for my siblings. I have to fight for them. They're the only reason I live. And I'm just like, siblings aren't that great.
I know.
But you know, it's like when they harp on things like that, it irritates me.
It irritates me when the main characters are stupid. Like when they just do dumb shit and you're like, seriously? Well, you deserve all the crap that just happened to you because you're an idiot.
Especially when they do the like self-sacrificing like gallant thing and you're like, that was dumb. That was just dumb. Don't run back into battle for the guy. Leave him. Yeah. He's dead anyway.
He's okay. Exactly. Yeah.
Although I say that, but in Kingdom of Ash, she had to go back for Lorcan and she did. And I was so happy. Like that was when I was like, don't leave him. So I guess it depends. Do I like the character or not? Do I want them to die?
Yeah.
Or are you okay with them?
I don't have any other books. That's all I'm reading.
Okay, cool.
Although Tyler did just give me Blood and Steel and Throne of the Fallen. So I'm really excited to dive into Throne of the Fallen next and then Blood and Steel. So yeah, I'm just heavy in the fantasy.
Yes.
I'm going to do my reread of Iron Flame before Onyx Storm.
I have to do mine too.
Yeah. We have so much homework to do.
I know. So many things to read.
I know. What are you reading?
I am reading a book that I judged by its cover, and I bought it, called Starter Villain by John Scalzi. And you should look at the cover because it is a cat in
a tuxedo.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's supposed to be, I think it's gonna turn out to be like fantasy-ish, or I don't know if fantasy is the right word, just fiction.
Okay.
But it's about this guy who's like 32 and he's divorced and life is not great for him, and his incredibly rich billionaire uncle dies and like leaves him his business or something, but his business is super shady. Like one of the first things that happen in the book is, so his uncle dies and his uncle's wish was for him to go to the funeral, and none of his uncle's family or anybody else goes to the funeral. All these mobsters go just to make sure he's actually dead.
Oh.
Like, yeah.
Jeez.
So he pissed off a lot of powerful people, I guess, and then he leaves his business to this guy, and I don't know what's going to happen, but a lot of shenanigans, I'm sure.
So many shenanigans. Love that.
Shenanigans. Yes.
Love that.
This is part of the book description. But with unionized dolphins, hyper-intelligent talking spy cats, and a terrifying hench person at his side, going bad is starting to look pretty good. So,
did you say unionized dolphins?
Dolphins. So I'm like, is this description trying to be funny? Or I don't get it. Or is that actually there are unionized
I'm going to need an update on this.
I know, right?
I'm like,
good.
I'm tripping over this unionized dolphin situation.
Yeah. That's one of the things that got me. And then when I was at Barnes & Noble, of course the Barnes & Noble people are supposed to push, the books, but there were two people were like, that was a good book.
Okay.
So yeah, peer pressure. And then the other book I'm reading is Look Closer by David Ellis. And it is really good so far. It's different point of views. And it's about a guy, and like the very first chapter is he's walking out of this house having just murdered the woman he was having an affair with. And so you see from his point of view, at least you think it's him. I have a suspicion that it might not be, but I don't know. So you have his point of view, then you have his wife's point of view. Then you have somebody else's point of view comes up later. And then you have like the point of view of the detective who's investigating the murder in the future.
Yeah, yes. Love it.
So yeah, it's getting really good.
Crazy.
So I'm excited to finish that one.
I think this year I will probably continue to read a lot of thrillers and a lot of fantasy. Mm-hmm. And I still don't understand what contemporary fiction is, but maybe some of that, if I'm pushed to because of book club.
Like up-to-date fiction, like fiction.
Like they have cell phones?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be a great year for more books, and I can't wait.
Yeah. Same. I'm so excited for Onyx Storm. Me and Taya are going to Phoenix on January 25th. So right after the book. And I'm interested to see. I bet you will be done with the book before we go.
But we have to have a rule. We cannot speak of it with each other. Yeah.
Right.
Like, no plot twist, no spoilers, no
have you gotten to this chapter or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we're done, then we can talk about it. But make sure you tell us what books did you love last year? What books did you hate? What books did you DNF? What books are you excited about? Tell us all the things, all the stuff and things, because we only have 40 and 50 books on our TBRs. So
60
or 50 and 60, whatever.
Yes. I need more. Actually, I need to go through it because I think I've changed my mind on some of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I wanted to read that, but nah.
Well, again, there's like a hierarchy of what I'm interested in reading, and certain books trump other books, like 100%. I have like a memoir on there. I'm literally never going to read that because unless I get through every other book, I'm not going to pick up a memour.
Okay.
Yeah. It sounds interesting. I just don't want to. There's too many other books.
Yeah.
So many shadow daddies I have to learn about.
Yeah. I got to fall in love with somebody else. Who's next?
I know, seriously.
And then you've got the books, that you've got from the library or got from Libby, and you're on a time crunch. 100%. Also, if you don't know this trick, which I'm sure a lot of people do, if you have a book from Libby on your Kindle, you can turn your Kindle on airplane mode and it will return the book for the next person, but you will still be able to keep it and finish reading it.
Yep. Just make sure you don't turn it off airplane mode because then your book disappears.
Yes. Also, Kindle, can you sponsor us so that Taya will finally get a Kindle?
Honestly, I'm not opposed to getting a Kindle.
I don't know. The screen is different, much different than an iPad. And then you can, turn the brightness down. So like when I'm reading in bed and I'm trying to sleep, I like turn it down.
Way down. Yeah. Yeah. Versus the iPad, it's like this huge screen and it's so bright. Even when you do turn it down, it's still bright. Yeah.
Anyways, everyone tell Taya that she needs a Kindle. And
I know.
Yes,
I know.
please let us know all the things that you're reading and that you love, and
tell us all the stuff and things about books. Obviously, it's something we're very passionate about, and we can't wait to hear what you're reading, and we will continue to share what we're reading. Next week, what are we talking about? Mental health? Okay. Honestly, I've been actually thinking about this episode, and it was like, I feel like it used to be a stigma attached to like, don't tell people you're in therapy. I have no qualms about that.
There still is.
I think we all should go to therapy. And I think there's a beauty in the relatability to admitting your issues, because I think a lot of people have them. And as my therapist told me last week, I have more issues than I think I know I have. I made the comment, I was like, I think I have bigger issues than I thought I did. And he's like, oh, 100% you do. Absolutely. And I was like,
you were so messed up. You have no idea.
You are job security for me.
Right.
God dang it.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. There's a lot we could go into. And I feel exactly the same way about my mental health issues. Like, I've been on anxiety medications for a long, long time. And I tell everyone, you should try it.
Yeah.
Because it changed my life.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to dive into next week. Cool. If you have any thoughts, questions, comments, concerns about either the books or next week's episode, drop us a note. We can't wait to hear about it. So
also in a couple of weeks, we're going to do a Q&A session. Yeah. So if you have any Qs that you want our A's to, please let us know.
I'm flashing back to that Brooklyn Nine-Nine scene where she's like, this B needs a C in her A. And it's like, what? This babe needs a coconut in her hand, or is like coconut and something. And anyway, yes, all the Q's and A's. And it can be a question about literally anything. Anything, our background, anything we've talked about, anything that you're just wondering. Yeah. So we're excited.
Unedited.
Unedited.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.